South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world. Our gaming amenities include over 60 table games and over 2,600 of the most popular slot and video poker machines. We have penny slots, including the popular Buffalo games, and real machines like Wheel of Fortune, Triple Sevens, and Megabucks. If you prefer video poker, try Deuces Wild, Double Double Bonus, or a variety of multi-denomination games. Or try your hand at one of the most popular casino table games in the world, Blackjack. Don't let the game intimidate you. Blackjack, also known as 21, is both easy and fun. And our dealers are always happy to assist. And the best part? Blackjack always pays 3 to 2. Next, check out the roulette tables. Roulette is one of the easiest casino games to learn, and so much fun to play. It's a favorite of both beginners and seasoned players. In addition to blackjack and roulette, our casino pit features over 60 popular table games like Baccarat, Pai Gow Poker, 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and Mississippi Stud. So get out of your room and come join in the fun.
Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome in. Thanks for hanging out with us for the next hour. This is Sports by the Book live from the South Point Hotel and Casino. It's calming down a little bit. It was a wild weekend. Hopefully you came out to the best party in Las Vegas here at the South Point. It was a great time, whether you did the free throw contest, buckets for beers, or tried the half court contest. And if you did not, please put it on your calendar for next year to come join us. A lot of fun. And now the stage is set. We have our teams going into the Sweet 16. We're going to do a recap. We're going to look ahead to that. We'll also have a special on the YouTube channel coming up this week, really diving into those games. We have action today, though. We still have games that we can bet on. We're going to go through all of those. I'm Alex White alongside Kenny White, father-daughter duo. Starting with the recap. Overall, how was your weekend?
Good morning, Alex. It was a good weekend, really good weekend. You know, and it's always good to the player rating system that, you know, your grandfather invented in the 70s, and we've kind of tried to make it better as years go. But the adjusting from game to game without adjusting player power ratings, it's like vindication that it works when you see this chalky bracket. Remember, and you looked at my first bracket and you go, oh my gosh, it's all chalk. And so I said, well, yeah, you're right. I better make a couple of adjustments, and because there are going to be some upsets. That's for sure. There always are. That's the way you think. But had such big favorites. Everybody was such a big favorite, and I moved on Alabama and Michigan State. Can't remember what the other ones I had, and both of those are still going. Got some good future tickets still going, and probably going to hedge those now. Because it's, you know, now they're going to start running into better teams. So it's the haves and have-nots now in the college world, and it's like a professional league because kids are getting paid now.
First time ever, just 4 conferences going into the Sweet 16. Of course, the Power 4. SEC has 7 teams. ACC, just Duke. And then Big 12 and Big 10 each have 4 teams. So, yeah, you're right. The top got richer, and then we didn't have a mid-major team. I will say it was a very good showing for the Mountain West yesterday. Colorado State came down to the wire. Fantastic three-point shot to put them ahead, and then to give up a basket to Derek Queen in Maryland, which they came back and they really fought for that. So, yeah, no mid-majors, first time ever going into the Sweet 16. It's bittersweet, though, right? Because now we know we are in store for some really good games this weekend.
Yeah, you're right. These are going to be some really good basketball games because these are the best of the best now. that we have left. And it's just amazing. I mean, this happened so quick. There were a couple of years, I guess 16 and 17, that the Zags were the only non-major conference team that made the Sweet 16. So there was some dominance there by the upper conferences. But 2 years ago, Florida Atlantic and San Diego State were in the Final Four. Those teams were, teams that never, people never dreamed about making to the Final Four, and they did. So now it's complete domination, and how good these teams are. And, we were talking about it a couple weeks ago with Jeff, and he mentioned how high Ken Palm's ratings were. And I was like, mine are through the roof. I've never had teams rated this high, and they just keep getting better and better and better.
Looking at this weekend and the round of 32, so McNeese, not even close against Purdue, and then Drake, they really got blown out. They lost 77-64 to Texas Tech. So now we are kind of preventing that in the later rounds, even though everybody loves a good Cinderella story and wants to see those teams make it farther. But now we really are having the best of the best go against each other. I will say with Gonzaga, I think for them and St. Mary's, it kind of just proved that it was bad seeding for them. They should have been in a better spot, right? Yeah. And they shouldn't have been playing those teams that early on. With Gonzaga and St. Mary's up against Alabama, and I forget who the Zags played, one of the 1 seeds, Houston.
It's amazing that they need to really hire someone who knows how good the teams are. I've been saying this, and people have been saying it for 40 years, because they never get it right. They're always wrong. And a team like the Zags, 9 seed? Are you kidding me? Or 8, whatever they were. It's ridiculous. They're a top 10 team. They have that type of talent. Yeah. They took Houston right down to the wire. And they proved it. And you're right about, I watched St. Mary's. They're not as good as Alabama. Man, Mark Sears, he reminds me a little bit of Allen Iverson, who played for the Philadelphia 76ers, who could get his shot off anytime he wanted it to because he was that quick. And Mark Sears is that quick. He can get through the lane and by people. He has got such quick feet and instincts and strength too. He's an amazing player. Mark Sears can carry Alabama to the national championship. He's that good. And they've got a lot of really good athletes around him, but I think he's the best player I've seen in this tournament. I've watched Cooper Flagg just a little bit. I haven't watched him a ton, but I did watch him, and Cooper Flagg is an amazing talent. Man, he is so good, but I don't know if I've ever seen somebody could dribble and move as quick as Mark Sears does.
We have a really good one coming up this weekend. Alabama and BYU, both really offensively dominant, right? So that one has the potential to be very high scoring. It might be first to 95. Yeah.
It's going to be a very high scoring game. They just go back and forth. The first round went under, and the second day we had a little bit more overs.
I was surprised.
Very interesting comment that Chris Beard said yesterday when they asked him, well, what happened? You fell behind early. He said, yeah, it wasn't a problem. We know our conditioning is way better than theirs. We're in better shape than they are. So this is, we had no worries. And he was right. They just destroyed them. Iowa State had no chance. They couldn't come back. Mississippi did whatever they wanted to against Iowa State in that game. And the conditioning, I can put that note away that Chris Beard, his teams are very well conditioned, and that might be a fact that, they could get off to some really fast starts, and they were 15-2 this year and 4-0 in the conference. And then, then they start to play a really tough schedule, and it does break you down a little bit, but his team is in great shape. It's going to be an interesting matchup against Michigan State.
Well, our friend of the show, Chris Felica, he tweeted today a bunch of nuggets going into the Sweet 16, and Chris Beard's name was on there and how good he has been as an underdog. So if you want to check that out, Chris Felica on X. So we'll dive into some of those. And like I said, we are going to do a special, I'm thinking potentially Wednesday after our Sports by the Book show. And we can really dive into each of this, even though you and I will be here on the desk with Jeff Parles the next few days. And I'm sure we'll talk about each game leading up to this weekend. So as you said, the chalk, right? 7 of the top 8 are moving on. St. John's was the lone 2 seed to get knocked out. I kind of thought Tennessee was the most vulnerable 2 seed, so that's the upset that I had picked. But overall, I mean, we did kind of know that most of the 1s and 2s were going to move on to this point. I want to dive into that game with St. John's and Arkansas. Very impressive by Calipari to pull off 2 upsets to get to this point. And if you really look at the box score there, neither team shot well from 3. And that was your concern with St. John's all along. You knew they were a good defense, but you knew they struggled shooting wise and offensively.
And it's one player in basketball can make such a difference. Boogie Fland is the real deal as well. This kid can really play, and he missed a lot of games for Arkansas, but now that he's back in the lineup, Arkansas looks completely different with him in the lineup. A freshman that could do so many different things on the court. The St. John's team, very athletic, very good team, but they couldn't shoot it. They just had a really bad shooting day. Their best outside shooter, RJ Lewis, had a horrible night. I'm kind of kicking myself on 2 teams I didn't bet on yesterday that I would have loved to. One is Arkansas. I didn't bet them, but I should have because of Fland being back. I should have upgraded their rating at least 3 points and would have had a play. The other is Connecticut. 2-time national champions are a 9.5-point underdog. Those kids knew they were a 9.5-point underdog. And whenever you get that type of team that has been there before, done this, and, they know they haven't had a great season, but when they know they're a 9-point underdog and they're the defending national champs, you're going to get their best effort. And they did. I thought they're going to win. We talked yesterday, and I said to you, they haven't made a shot, and they're only down 1. If they start to score a little bit, they could win this game by double digits. And the next time I look back, they were up 6, and they still hadn't shot the ball well. I'm just amazed that, they lost the game. I thought they were going to pull it out and win it the way they were playing.
Some controversy with that, and in the sense that UConn thought that they were snubbed a little bit there with not getting the calls because there were a lot more free throws for Florida. So it's interesting, but you're right. There were a lot of players on that team for the Huskies that had won before, and you gave a great in-game over for that game that did get there. And if you took the original number, it depends on where it fell, over or under. So in-game, you said it's 10 points lower than the closing number, so time to go over there. So that was a good in-game. And
there was a lot of fouls at the end to help that game go over.
Yeah.
A lot of scoring. So that's something you have to look at, that can happen in those games. But it was a kind of exciting day.
Best game of the day, Colorado State, Maryland.
The best finish. Oregon, Arizona almost gave that one a run for its money. But when you get 2 shots that change the lead in the last 10 seconds of a game, that's pretty amazing. And that's what happened. And Colorado State, give them credit, well coached. And, I talked about that yesterday too. Maryland's head coach, Willard, his dad, was a great coach as an underdog, but horrible as a favorite. And he always was. And I think his son's probably the same way. His team was not ready for Colorado State yesterday.
You did give out that 1st to 15 as well. And that was pretty easy there. Now looking ahead with Maryland, they will be a dog this weekend.
Yeah, they'll be ready.
Okay.
They will be ready. There's a good chance that they could have the lead at halftime as a dog in that game.
News today, I didn't officially see it, but our producer Ryan did let me know that Medved, the head coach for Colorado State, is moving on, which was anticipated going into this tournament. But I believe it's Minnesota. Should be Minnesota for him.
Okay.
So,
well, good for him. He's a really good coach. He is a very good basketball coach. So.
Well, hopefully all the Mountain West coaches aren't leaving because, like I said, I thought that was a very good showing for them and New Mexico, who hung around as long as they could in that one, but just fell short there at the end. But we want to keep the Mountain West pretty good as well as, and the West Coast Conference, right? We do still want some of these mid-majors to make it and have dominance in those conferences.
No doubt about it. I think that, things change all the time. This doesn't have to be a dominance from the top conferences. I mean, they are super conferences now, and there's a lot of money involved in this, and they've got lucrative TV deals and tons of money to spend, and their budgets for basketball, are in the millions, 5-10 million, I think they are, maybe even more than that. I know I saw a little bit of a list. About 5 million.
I'm not gonna lie, I was afraid of Baylor giving Duke a run for their money just because of how much that roster cost them. And I know that they've struggled all year, but I knew that there were very talented, good players on that team. And Scott Drew is a very good coach as well. So, but Duke, man, they got ahead at the end of the first half and never looked back.
Yeah, they went on a nice run the last 5-6 minutes of the first half and took the lead. And I bet them because they were of the spot they were playing in. I thought the game was going to go under at one point because it was a really high scoring first half. And I went under in the second half because this defense, Duke's defense is ridiculous good. These players are so good that they brought in. So, but it went over. There was a lot of points scored in the last 10 minutes of that, or last 2 minutes of that game as well to help get it over. I thought it was with a big lead. I just see sometimes those games, both teams stop scoring late.
Before we go to the CBI games today, you did bring up futures. I did want to point out that you suggested, so I think I had 6 total futures. I am down to 3. And of course, they are the 3 that you gave me on the show. So did lose St. Mary's and Creighton over the weekend. And you gave me BYU, Bama, and Purdue for the value. So now this weekend I will have BYU and Bama going head to head.
Yeah. Well, you'll at least have one team in the Elite 8.
Yes, true.
So
we'll see if there's any more, any other value. 3
wins away for one of those teams. I guess, I don't know. Well, depends on how much you bet on each one, but a 200-1 value is amazing to get a team at 200-1 into the Elite 8. That's pretty good. I didn't get it. I didn't buy it. I talked about it, but I didn't do it. I'm Purdue still alive. Florida. Alabama and Florida still alive. I think that's the only ones I have right now, those 3.
Not bad in all 3 different regions as well. So here at the South Point, Chris Andrews and company did put up the SEC versus the field. It is currently down, but keep checking your app or stop by here at the South Point because they are going to put it back up. Very interested to see where that number comes now with 7 SEC teams going to the Sweet 16. So that'll be very, very interesting.
So as of 8 matchups in the Sweet 16, 2 the teams have played before this year.
Yep.
Duke went to Arizona and beat them by 15 on their home floor. And Kentucky beat Tennessee both times during the regular season. So we'll see there. I think the only team that has a proximity value, Purdue, playing in Indianapolis.
Right. Who, of course, is facing Houston, a 1 seed. Yeah. Not very fair for Houston as a 1 seed.
Yeah, not very fair for Houston really playing in a away neutral. That's going to be a pretty good crowd for Purdue in that game.
I'm very curious to see what your numbers say for Kentucky and Tennessee. And I know we talk about it's hard to beat the same team 3 times. We like the revenge and all of that, but this might just be a bad matchup for the Vols.
It might be, but it is hard to beat a team 3 times in 1 year. And I struggle with these really good teams when it comes to games of must win. And and I struggle with it because I after I lost the last weekend, Selection Sunday weekend, like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or Friday and Saturday, I lost, and it was all revenge factors.
Yeah.
That I was on all those teams, and I'm thinking these guys are they're playing for a conference championship, even though they already have a bid in the NCAA tournament. They're still playing high level basketball, and they do want to win. So I'm going to struggle with: do I give Tennessee 2.5 points here because they lost both games? It is so hard to beat a team 3 times. It really is. And I think I looked it up years ago though, and I don't have the numbers, but when I Googled that for the NFL, I think it was the NFL I was doing work on, it said something came up. You would think it is, but it really isn't. These teams that do dominate the first two games do win the third game most of the time. But that's not covering the point spread. So we're trying to get a point spread winner. But Tennessee is the favorite in the game, and they lost both times to Kentucky this year.
So I would think this weekend is the weekend to look for dogs and taking the points. I think there's going to be more upsets here. And you're going to have value with at least getting the points and them keeping it close.
I tell you that watching even just women's basketball, there's so many things you need to keep track of, like experience. And TCU is a team I watched, and I bet them. I laid 21.5, I think, with TCU in their game, and I thought they would just blow out their opponent. I figured who it was. Their first game. The announcers kept talking about this was TCU's first home game or tournament game in like 20 years. They'd never been there. They'd never been this good. They went through the transfer portal, this coach, and brought in a bunch of good players, and now they're really that good. They'd never been there before, never did this before. They did not come out well at the beginning. They were only up like 10 at halftime, and maybe less than that. I think they were down for a little bit, but that's really important because teams that have been there year in and year out, the Connecticut's of the world, when you're talking about women's, South Carolina, those teams, they're used to this stage, and they just come to play. So that translates to the men's. It's the same thing when you find teams that are big favorites that don't have the experience in the tournament. It's a major factor of betting and how well teams play.
Well, and if you want to look at the two coaches and the matchup we were just talking about, Rick Barnes has definitely been here. Mark Pope seems to be a very good coach. He's done very well here at Kentucky, came over from BYU, but has not been in this spot.
Yeah, that's, I did glance at that real quick this morning. I did send my sheet out already, and I was looking and saying, well, look at it. Most of these coaches they've been with their team, except for John Calipari and Mark Pope.
Wow. So the rest of them, can you go through that list and how many years?
Yeah, I think everybody else has been pretty good. Well, Tommy Lloyd, 3 years. This is his fourth year. John Shire in his third year. Kevin Young at BYU, he's brand new too. Nate Oates, sixth year at Alabama. Grant McCaslin, only second year at Texas Tech. Kevin Willard and Golden, both in their third year for that Maryland-Florida matchup. Dusty May, he's in his first year at Michigan. His team is really good offensively. Wow, they really impressed me how good their offense is actually.
Yes.
Bruce Pearl, 11th year. Chris Beard, only his second year at Mississippi. What a turnaround he's made for them. Tom Izzo, 30 years now. Matt Painter, 20 years. Kelvin Sampson, 10 years. You mentioned Mark Pope, first year with the team, and then Rick Barnes, 10 years at Houston, or Tennessee.
Very good. I do just want to bring up, too, talking about NIT. I guess I kind of manifested this and knocked out two favorites, but we talked about who was the favorite in that tournament, and you liked two teams, and both of them were upset yesterday. So we'll dive deeper into the NIT, but Santa Clara lost to UAB yesterday, and SMU lost to Oklahoma State. And I was talking about Irvine could potentially be one of the favorites. And
now they might be.
Now they very, very well may be. So that tournament's getting interesting, but I guess that's another point in taking points and knowing motivation for these teams.
Well, my top three teams now are Oklahoma State, UAB.
Wow.
And,
so those two.
Those two are the top two, and then you have Irvine and North Texas. So, man, those are two really good basketball games. Loyola Chicago is very good too. Shouldn't say that. They're a good team.
Well, at North Texas, I did have that over yesterday. So 2-2 for me on the board because the Iowa State game did fly over. I had that under. Alabama was the best bet of the day. And then North Texas, we thought meaningless game. That game would go over. It did not. And that just shows what kind of defense and their capability of slowing it down. And they did get the win there.
What did I do? I had Alabama. Got the cover. Oregon plus the 3.5. That game actually went to 4.5. You cover if you waited on that game. or at least tied. Duke minus 12.5 was a winner. College basketball, the women's 1-2, terrible day on that. Notre Dame, I had an easy winner. Baylor minus 2. They were in it. They just didn't make shots down the end and ended up losing. And then Ohio State plus 1.5. They were in it for a while too and made a huge comeback. And then they ended up losing. Tennessee has made a really nice run here in the NCAA tournament for the women's.
Anything for today with the women's? I know we do have one game going on right now, which looks to be a blowout.
Yeah, I was shocked to see that. North Carolina State at home playing a really good Michigan State team. I did not expect a blowout. I think I made the game 8. 8 right on is what I made it. The line was 6. I had the right side. Just a 2-point difference. I didn't bet the game, but I was leaning to NC State, and I would have loved to have had them. I would love to make a bet, and your team runs out to a 30-10 lead early in the game. Texas, I made 20.5. They're 18. Not a big difference there. When you're that high of a number, Oklahoma's right there. I made Maryland the favorite. I like Maryland over Alabama today. It'll be a team. I'll put that on the whiteboard. West Virginia against North Carolina. I do like LSU against Florida State and USC. They're a very talented basketball team playing at home. All these are home games. Every home team won their first round game, so they're playing at home again. And that, hopefully it'll be a little bit of benefit to most that I like here. Alabama at home, LSU at home. I guess the one road team I have is West Virginia.
I thought you said Maryland as well.
I like Maryland. They're at home, yeah.
Oh, okay. Maryland at home. LSU, you can trust that coach. USC, you got Juju. So,
yep.
Should be fun down the stretch here for the women's.
They've done a really nice job, I think, of making numbers. I won in the women's on Friday and Saturday. More on Saturday, and I did beat them yesterday, even though my plays I give out on the show weren't good. 1 and 2. I think my other 3 smaller plays all won. And that's what happens sometimes this time of year, your smaller plays, just like that NC State game. If I would have had time to look and maybe found a 5.5, I would have gotten another winner on a very small differential.
Crazy time of the year for sports. Of course, we talked about this off air too. NHL coming down to the wire here at the end. I think you said 10 games left.
Yeah.
For every team, and NBA's got to be relatively close before their playoffs too.
Yeah, they're going to be close too. I didn't go to look to see how many games they have left, but you need to look at the standings and where teams sit and whether they need to win or not.
Yep.
And there's a lot of good ones. We can go over that real quick right now in the NHL. I think that's important to know. I know one team that's playing good hockey right now that needs to win is Calgary.
Yes.
I think they've gone on a nice little run because they're right on the edge.
Well, the Blues have been
won
playing
3 in a row now. The Blues, who they're trying to chase, have won 6 in a row. The Wild, who are right there as well, haven't clinched yet, have won 3 in a row. So those teams that need to win are winning right now.
Of course, that is all from the Western Conference there with right now. The Minnesota Wild has the first wild card, and then the Blues have the second with 81 points. Calgary chasing them down with 77 points. The Central and the Pacific are pretty much locked up.
Yeah, I'm looking at, Vancouver's right there too. They need to win. They've lost 2 in a row now. And the Utah Hockey Club, they're fighting to get in. They've won 2 in a row. On the flip side, in the East.
Hold really quick with the Western.
Yeah.
I guess Minnesota could chase down Colorado for the Central. They're just 4 points behind. So that just tells me Colorado needs to continue winning as well.
Yeah, it's a 4-point difference with 12 games to go. That's very easily attainable if you're playing good hockey. So Minnesota's won 3 in a row, and Colorado's won 2 in a row. You're going to see those teams, playing that way, trying to win the division. I'm sure. I just pulled up by conference standings because I wanted to find out, which teams were fighting for their playoff lives. But the Golden Knights, a 5-point lead over the Kings and Oilers. Both those teams are going to be fighting. The top 4 teams in the division, all on a little bit of a winning streak.
Yeah.
And all have played well over the last 10 days. So that, it's very important to know motivation. St. Louis, the 8-1-1, their last 10 games. They're very motivated to try to make the playoffs. And you're right, at the top of the division. Well, I guess you want to finish in the top 4 at home ice. Is that why you were saying that the Wild were fighting to try to catch Colorado?
Yeah.
I don't know if that gets them home ice. If they even catch Colorado. We've got the Jets, Stars, Knights, and Colorado's number 4 right now. So, yeah, that's who they want to catch to get that 4 spot. That's very important. We talked about it in college basketball. You're the seeding, and that's very important in the NHL to get that home seeding. In the East, Washington Capitals have everything locked up, and they're still playing good hockey. 9-1 their last 10 4-game winning streak, but that could end soon. With everything locked up, there'll be some flat spots, I think, for them. Unless we're still going for the scoring record.
We are still going for the scoring record.
How many goals?
I believe 7.
7 to go?
Could be 6 now, so I will have to check that.
That's Ovechkin trying to catch Gretzky. That's a, you got to follow that. And that could be.
Now 7.
I hope he gets it, because then we could bet against Washington the next game. If he went the game he gets it, because that'll be a big celebration, a big party, and they've got everything locked up.
Look at the Boston Bruins. They have played themselves out of a playoff spot, lost 6 in a row.
Yeah, they're done. You want to fade that team. They Philadelphia too. They both have mailed it in. It looks like Columbus, even though Columbus still has life, because Montreal is at 75 points. They're number 8. The Rangers at 74 and the Islanders at 73 and Columbus at 71. Even Detroit at 70. I think you're still fighting.
Yep.
I don't know. Boston's only 6 points out of Montreal. So I'm not sure if I shouldn't say that they've mailed it in. They could turn it around, but they're not a very good road team. That's for sure. You want to bet against them on the road, I guess.
New Jersey's still fighting as well with 80 points there. The 3 seed in the Metro, but they've had some struggles as well. Ottawa's playing good hockey. It says just one game streak.
They're 7-2-1 though, the last 10.
Yep.
Yeah, they have played good hockey. Toronto's the 4 seed right now with 87 points. Tampa at 85 points. So Tampa and Toronto, both teams needing to win. And then Florida Panthers at 89 and Carolina at 90. If Carolina went on a losing streak, now they've won 9 of the last 10 games, Carolina.
Yeah.
But if they went on a 3 or 4 game losing streak, they could find themselves in 5th place. They're another team that kind of needs to keep winning.
Of course, there are 4 games tonight. Nothing really for us, but we were talking about Columbus and the Islanders. They are playing against each other today. Both of them very close to that wild card spot. The Islanders 73 points and Columbus 71. So they will be playing their best hockey. And then the Devils, I talked about them struggling as of late, and you talked about Vancouver. They will play each other tonight. And then Minnesota Wild still playing for their playoff hopes. So really, tonight's a good night. All 8 teams have something to play for.
Yeah, that's very nice. The motivation. You want to try to find teams that are motivated and need a win, playing against teams who are done or have nothing to play for. That's always, this time of year, very, very solid bets at this time.
So we will have our hockey sheet and everything for tomorrow. I've been saying this, but we really are going to get our NBA numbers for playoff time. And then Thursday is opening day, if I'm not mistaken.
This Thursday.
Yes.
Already. Oh my gosh.
So spring training still today and tomorrow. They get Wednesday off, and then Thursday we will have a ton of day games in Major League Baseball. So a fantastic time to be a sports fan and a sports bettor. We have a lot of different things going on at once. Let's take a quick 1-minute break. When we get back, I want to hear your numbers for the CBI tournament. We've got 3 games on the board. So on the other side, we'll go more college basketball.
Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. Bingo! And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books, 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sports book, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day. The friendly ticket writers are happy to help, and it's conveniently located next to the famous Del Mar Deli, where you'll find supersized portions of delicious deli items like roast beef, pastrami, and Reuben sandwiches, or soups, salads, and pizza. Plus spectacular desserts fit for a king. And right next door is the race book. Over 150 seats, each with its own TV screen. There are 16 interactive player terminals, so you can bet right from your seat.
Welcome back, everybody. Sports by the Book, live from the South Point studio. Checking in with our chat here. I missed a couple notes going back to NCAA here. 40 Kid had New Mexico plus 7.5, but it fell to 8. Thought they played well, but the refs got very involved. I thought New Mexico had a good outing as well. JR and 40 Kid said mid-majors and Cinderella stories will become less prominent with NIL, which we kind of talked about. Keith Lyle said let the sportsbook directors do the seeding. In favor?
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. And then Nick and JR had a great time at the South Point for the games this weekend at the exhibition hall, and with 2,000 plus people, and they're cheering for the first 15 for all the underdogs. So, yes, appreciate both of them coming out and hanging with us there. That's it for our chat. If you want to jump in, please do, and we will give you a shout out as well. Trivia should be coming soon if it did not already. So make sure you're paying attention to that, and you have to be very quick to be the winner. Talking about NHL, talking about playoffs, we were talking 8 from each conference, but Ryan did remind us it's a little bit different with NHL and the playoffs and who sees who. So do you want to talk about that with seeding and who will have home ice?
Yeah, I do. Ryan, thank you for bringing that up, because it is important to know what you're talking about. And the other one of us really looked back, and I was looking at the entire conference and thinking it was the same old, but it's not. The Atlantic and Metro in the East both get 3 teams. The top 3 teams make the playoffs, and the 1 and 2 are home ice. And then from there, they take the rest of everyone else left in the East and get 2 wild cards. And those 2 wild cards right now are Ottawa and Montreal. The Rangers are a point back. Islanders are 2 points back, and the Columbus Blue Jackets are 4 points back right now. So those teams all fighting for that wild card. And I would say the wild card teams are fighting to finish in the top 3 as well. And, finishing 1 and 2 in your division is very important because you get home ice. And the West, Winnipeg and Dallas. Winnipeg almost has their number 1 seed locked up. They're 8 points up, but still that's not a lot with 10 to go. Dallas can catch them. Colorado is hanging on there, and Colorado is going to try to catch Dallas to get home ice. The Kings and Oilers are both fighting it out to really get home ice in the Pacific, and the Golden Knights, nothing locked up yet. So you're going to get those teams, Jets, Stars, Avalanche, Golden Knights, the Kings and Oilers. They're all motivated right now. You're going to get their best hockey until they clinch something.
It is very interesting. So looking at this with the Western Conference, if playoffs were to start tomorrow, there would be 5 teams from the Central and just 3 from the Pacific. And you brought up Calgary, of course, in the Pacific right now, 4th, but it does not matter because they have to catch the Blues or the Wild. So I do like how they open it up for the conference, not just division. So both of them right now are pretty heavy. Right now it'd be 5 from the Central, 3 from the Pacific. Same thing for the Eastern, 5 coming out of the Atlantic, because the Senators and the Canadiens are the next best teams. They have the most points. And then it would just be 3 from the Metropolitan, which unless the Rangers can catch up to the Canadiens, which they very well could. I hope the Rangers can. I know you have the Rangers. That's the only team really have
a ticket on right now is the Rangers to win it all. So doesn't look good right now, but hopefully they can peak. They can start to peak right now. It'd be great if they did.
Well, you know how hockey is. Just get your ticket in there, and then anything is possible. And you do have Shesterkin as the goalie. So right. They very well could make a run there. So thank you for that clarification, Ryan. I am glad that we went over that. We'll keep an eye on hockey. I do have a ticket as well, but I just have the Golden Knights to win the Western Conference. So
very nice.
We'll see how that one goes as well. We should be looking at futures and seeing if there is any value, but seems like it is a very top-heavy league right now as well. I mean, Winnipeg and the Capitals, have really been leading those 2 conferences the entire year. They haven't had any bad points, and it's a very long season. So we'll see.
They've been consistent.
They have been very, very consistent.
It's looking at the standings when you're in the wild card mode. Last 10, Winnipeg 6-4, Dallas 6-2-2, Colorado 8-1-1. In the Pacific, the Knights 6-2-2, the Kings 8-1-1, and Edmonton 6-3-1. All 6 teams are playing really well over the last 10 games. In the Eastern Conference, the Atlantic, amazing. The teams are not as strong over the last 10. Florida just 5-4. I'm not sure why it's 5-4. They must have had a shootout win or a shootout tie or loss. Toronto 4-5-1, Tampa 5-4-1. The Metropolitan, Washington 9-1, and Carolina 9-1, both playing really good hockey. Ottawa 7-2-1, and Montreal 5-4-1. Those are teams that are fighting for their playoff lives, and they're winning. So it's very important to look at that this time of year for hockey.
We will have to have our hockey guy in here, and Lou Finicaro, because he likes to look at the numbers and look at overtime and overtime wins and use that going in to the playoffs as well. So we'll have to get his thoughts. But because just looking at goal differential, and one team I just want to point out that, and you can look here on the standings as well, but the Kings, fantastic home team, not a very good road team. So right now they will get to host one round of the playoffs if they stay in that 2 seed. But after that, they might be a team that we are looking to fade. Because the Kings, do you see their home record? 25-3-4.
Oh my, yeah.
And then on the road, 14-18-5. So we'll find more teams like that, more nuggets like that as we go forward. But let's go to CBI. We've got some college hoops on deck today. We've got 3 games. I know you have been following this tournament as well as the NIT. And then we have some more coming up here. We have a basketball tournament coming up here in Las Vegas.
Yes, there is. That's I just finished my work on that today.
Now, some teams chose not to come, though, that were invited, which is very interesting. Indiana, because we were talking to JR, and that is his team, and they decided not to come this year. But you get paid, right? This is for money. I believe so. Winner? So this is one of your favorite.
Oh, for nil money.
Yes.
They get nil money if they win. I read something about that. Wasn't sure what term it was, but today in the CBI, and I missed the first game, kicking myself not having the work done after it was just such a long weekend, and I really didn't want to do these games last night, so I waited till this morning. And time caught up with me, and I got here and had my breakfast, and I realized, the game started at 9 a.m. Incarnate in Jacksonville, and I looked at the next game, Army and Florida Gulf Coast, and I looked at when they played last, and Florida Gulf Coast hasn't played since March 3rd. Wow. 21 days. I said, that can't be right, and I went and looked. It is right. And then I went and looked. I saw Jacksonville hasn't played in 2 weeks. I said, well, these teams are not going to be ready because they haven't played in such a long time. Now, the other teams played yesterday. So they were on the court. They're starting to play basketball again, and that's very important. Even though they're playing back-to-back, doesn't matter. They didn't have to travel. They're staying in the same hotel. So Incarnate, a 4-point dog, is winning 70-55 right now with 6 minutes to go in the game. Army played yesterday, and I talked about that. My number said bet Elon, and I said I can't because Army is so disciplined. They're going to be on a business trip. They travel really well, and they won the game. They fell behind early too, and they came back and they won. And now they're playing Florida Gulf Coast, who hasn't played in 21 days. And people are betting Florida Gulf Coast. They bet them up from 8.5 to 10.5. I have no idea why. So I did take Army. I took the 10.5, and I bet Army in the first half, plus 5.5. The second game, or the third game of the day, Queens from North Carolina playing Cleveland State. Same thing. Cleveland State hasn't played in 2 weeks. Queens won a game yesterday. It's important. These teams, they're coming off a win, and they've played. If you're not playing real games, and who knows how much some of these teams have even practiced. If they took time off, Florida Gulf Coast, 3 weeks, maybe they practiced 3 times this week to get ready for this. I don't know. So
very interesting. I love that first half with Army too. You got 5.5 there.
Got 5.5 of that game, and then I took the 10.5. I also bet Queens because Cleveland State being off 14 days. So I took 2.5 in the first half with Queens, and I took 4.5 for the game. Queens
won yesterday against Northern Arizona, 85-78, and never really fell behind, right? They were in control of that one. They were a small favorite, though. But money came in for NAU, so we're going Dogs today in the CBI.
And then I looked ahead to the Vegas, tournament here, and most of the teams, when they play, they're not playing till the 31st. And I'm not sure how this will affect scoring because we had so many overs in the NIT, and then we had overs here in the CBI playing in Daytona. And now I'm playing in Vegas for the Crown. These teams have been off a long time. Utah playing, they'll be off 20 days. Butler will be off 18. George Washington, 17. Boise, 16. Nebraska will have been off 22 days, and Arizona 20 days. I don't know if I should be adding points to these totals or not because of that fact. Georgetown off, they'll be off 19 days. Washington State off 22 days. That's such a long time. I have a feeling, though, maybe betting against coaches in their first year, David Riley for Washington State, and Chris Holtzman for DePaul, and Eric Musselman for USC. May not be a bad strategy to use because these kids forget. If they have 3 weeks, they do forget a little bit about, the offense and defense that they run, mostly the offense that they run. So that'll be something to look at to try to keep track of and see if new coaches.
And that starts next Monday, right? We have 7 days.
Starts on the March 31st, Monday the 31st.
Monday the 31st, and we have Ed Cooley in the Crown.
Yeah, right. Georgetown is here, and Georgetown will be playing. Where they at? Washington State. So obviously, it might. You got to check injuries and players. In these games, see if anybody. Hopefully nobody transferred out, and hopefully all, they've got their entire rosters for this. But that's an issue that may pop up as well, that kids may miss this tournament if they're going in the transfer portal.
I'm glad you said that about injuries as well, because with your screen, you do have pop-ups with injuries. So I think you could always just let people know if you see any of those, like Zion Williamson, downgraded to ruled out Monday versus Philadelphia tonight. I just got that one. If you have any other ones that you have seen tonight. CJ McCollum ruled out Monday versus Philadelphia. So the Pelicans got a couple guys out.
Two of their best players out tonight. RJ Barrett out for Toronto. And Anthony Davis may return tonight for Dallas.
Wow.
So
something to keep an eye on.
He could be back.
Let's take a quick break. When we get back, we will have our whiteboards ready. Not very many plays, but we'll have our best plays ready for this Monday, March 24th when we get back.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside. South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rock and dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for watching Sports by the Book. We are live from the South Point Hotel and Casino. Please make sure give us a like for today's video and also subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not already. Today's trivia, we don't have a winner yet. We'll give you a little more time. Well, I guess we do officially have a winner. So the question is, which player holds the NCAA tournament record for most points scored in a single tournament? It was from 1989. It was on the University of Michigan. No guesses?
I can't remember
A total of 184 points.
Wow.
Glenn Rice.
Glenn Rice. Oh, that's another great player. Man.
And Nick is the winner today. He answered correctly first. So now him and JR are right there at the top. I think JR is still the leader, though, of our trivia contest. Again, thank you, everybody, for joining us for this last hour. It is whiteboard time, though. Time to give out our best plays of the day. It's been a pretty good month, a pretty good year since we've started this, so we have to keep it going here. You have yours first?
I do. And I started with the women's plays. Maryland -1 and LSU -10 today. Like both those teams, both playing at home. And then Army +10.5 in the CBI and Queens +4. Just talked about those two games, about how their opponent has been off for quite a long time. And I think that's going to hurt. It just is, the continuity's not there of a team, and your legs aren't underneath you as well, because you're not playing games. So
I can tell you I will definitely be tailing the two women's games as well. First year doing women's college basketball full time, right? Every team and handicapping each one. It's been a very good year for you, so I'll be jumping on those as well. And then I have one lonely play here. I like your reasoning behind these, and I'm going with Army first half. I just want the first 20 minutes, hopefully cash that quickly, +5.5 for me with Army in the CBI tournament. That's it for us for today. There they are, the whiteboard plays of the day, Monday, March 24th. Thank you all for joining us. Again, please like, share, and subscribe. We will be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. right here on the desk at the South Point studio. This has been Sports by the Book for Kenny White. I'm Alex White. We'll see you tomorrow.